This is a demo of a CFEngine feature which is not really widely known, CFEngine and a high availability setup. The problem with a normal CFEngine or traditional CFEngine deployment is that the CFEngine hub, which serves policy to the connected clients and also gathers reports from them, is basically a single point of failure. So to get a more reliable deployment, or in some cases to fulfill the requirements for the given infrastructure, CFEngine supports a so-called high availability setup, which basically means that there are two or more hubs acting as basically single contact address, but with fallback between the hubs. So if one of the hubs, the primary one, goes down, one of the secondary hubs takes over all the network traffic and serves policy and gathers all the reporting information. So here I am using a setup created by our script, which we use for testing and demoing the high availability setup. It's based on Vagrant, so here you can see I have 3 Vagrant machines. Node 1 and Node 2 are CFEngine hubs, and Node 3 is a CFEngine client or agent connected to these hubs. So now if I go to Node 1 and use this crm1 command, which is the command from the traditional Linux clustering toolset. Here we can see that it shows the status of the cluster, and there are 2 nodes and 3 resources, node 1 and node 2, as I said, the hubs, and the resources are this CFEngine IP, which is a virtual floating IP address, which is assigned to the primary hub, and if the primary hub goes down, it is reassigned to the secondary hub, which at that moment becomes the primary hub. And then the other resource is a master-slave configuration of PostgreSQL. So here we can see that node 1 is a master, node 2 is a slave host, and then here is a status from PostgreSQL. We can see that, node 1 is the primary hub, it's master, node 2 is a hot standby, and the changes from the master are being streamed to the hot standby, or sometimes it's called replica. So everything that changes in PostgreSQL, which gathers all the reporting data on the master, is with a very short delay replicated to the hot standby. And so here the setup script tells us to go to this URL. So I have already gone there. So here we can see the dashboard, and a little bit new thing here is the HA status, which says everything is okay. Node 2 is the passive hub, node 1 is the active one. And so now to demonstrate some cool things, one option is to take down the node 2, which would basically just remove this hot standby, and the primary hub will be just acting as usual. So that's not really that cool. But let's see what happens if we take down this node 1, which is acting as a primary hub, the master in the master-slave configuration. So now we can go to node 2, and we can check here what it now thinks. And now we can see that there is only that the node 1 is offline, and the only online node is node 2, and it's become a master, and now it is the primary hub and the primary PostgreSQL instance. And now if I go to the browser again and I refresh, yeah, I have to approve this self-signed certificate. The certificate is not synchronized between the hubs, so I had to reapprove or approve this new one on the other node. But in production, there would be a proper certificate, so this would not be shown at all. And here you can see that I'm just still logged in. Everything is transparent, and I get the dashboard. And the only thing that changed here is that now the HA status says that it's degraded, and that's because, of course, only one of the hubs is running now. So it transparently moved to everything to node 2. And now, last but not least, is let's see what happens on the node 3, which is the client. So here, update.cf. Here we can see how it fetches policy. Now it was bootstrapped to the hubs, and now it should try to fetch the policy from what used to be the primary hub, but then it falls back to the secondary hub. The policy update is not using the floating IP address. It's using the ability of CFEngine to provide multiple IP addresses or host names for fetching files, either the policy or arbitrary files. So, as you can see, it falls back to the other IP address. And I think over time it stabilizes and prefers the second IP address. Okay, yeah, now it's stabilized, and now the update is just contacting the what used to be the secondary hub, but what is now the primary hub.